Hey, Liv.
Hey, Ian.
Hey, how are you?
Hey.
You've run a marathon before, right?
I ran in a marathon, didn't run the full thing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Well, I hate running, and in this episode, we are going to be talking about a marathon where the runners were put through pure physical hell at a time when there was almost no rules at all governing marathons.
Holy shit.
Doesn't that sound terrible?
Yes, it does.
This is the 1904 Olympic Marathon.
Olympic?
Olympic.
Oh, wow.
The big one.
Oh, shit, the big O.
The big O. I'm Ian.
And I'm Liv, and this is Disaster Hour, baby.
This episode, Liv, is just ridiculous in all of the ways. It's very rare that I will actually laugh out loud to myself whilst writing it.
Oh, shit.
Oh
It's
my
one of
God.
those?
It's one of those.
Yeah, all right.
So this is the 1904 Olympic Marathon. And again, it's one of the most absurd moments in the history of sports ever.
Yeah.
The course itself was incredibly challenging and unsafe. Some of the contenders cheated, some were chased by dogs, some were poisoned, and less than half of the contenders even finished the race, Liv.
Oh, my God. What the fuck was this?
The whole thing feels like a race out of a 90s sitcom.
Yeah.
Just insane, absurd, insert adjective here.
It's literally rat race. Thank you.
That will come up in this.
Shut the fuck up, really?
It sure will. Also, shout out Georgia. She recommended this episode. She's one of our listeners. So, Georgia, thank you. This was amazing, and this is for you.
Georgia, I love that name.
Yeah, she's a winner. Well, she's a
Love
keeper.
that.
But before we get started, Liv, go ahead and start us off with all the things.
My favorite part, babe. Guys, if you have any suggestions for any episodes, like this one that you're listening to right now that Georgia sent in,
Hey, Georgia.
you can email us at disasterhourpodcast@gmail.com and we might talk about it if it's
We
interesting.
did this time.
Yeah, we did this time. And if you're like, oh my God, I cannot get enough of these little freaks, you can like and follow us on Instagram, Threads, and Facebook at Disaster Hour Podcast, and on X at Disaster Hour Pod. Back to you, Ian.
Head on over to the Discord. You can find us at Disaster Hour Podcast. The link to the Discord server is in our Instagram bio, but if you don't want to go there, you can send us an email at disasterhourpodcast@gmail.com, and I will send you the link to the server.
Yeah.
Also, go to the Patreon. We've been uploading some bloopers content, and there's other bonus content on there for you to watch. That's free. The Patreon is free for now. It'll be free for a while, honestly.
Yeah.
Who are we kidding?
It's going to be on.
Yeah. Also, merch is underway, and by that I mean I've finalized some designs, and I've done absolutely nothing else in the process of starting a merch store, but I did find a YouTube link that shows you how to make a merch store, and it does not look difficult.
Oh, good. Okay.
So,
Real.
it's coming soon this year.
2025, baby.
It's going to be our year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Also, head on over to the website at www.disasterhourpodcast.com, not .gov, not .net.
Yeah. If we were .org,
I don't know what these things are.
we're our own branch of government.
Ooh, not good. Good thing we're about disasters, because we would be covering ourselves. But while you're at the website, you can like and leave us a review. Like and rate 5 stars, 1 star, positive review, negative review. We don't care. We just like to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. And guys, new episodes on Thursdays. Asterisks.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
There we go.
There we are.
Hot stuff.
Love it.
So, the 1904 Summer Olympics, Liv.
I'm excited for this one.
Do you know anything about it?
No.
Oh, buckle up. So, the 1904 Summer Olympics were held in St. Louis, Missouri. And I honestly don't even know what to say about the games as a whole, but just America in 1904 was a vastly different place than it was today.
Oh, yeah.
Almost everything that happened at the 1904 Olympics was a reminder of how different the world was at the turn of the century.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
For example, Liv, I'm going to provide some examples.
Please.
At the 1904 Summer Olympics, one of the athletes, a gymnast named George Iser, had a wooden leg, and he still earned 6 medals, 3 of which were gold.
You know what? Hell yeah.
You would never see that today.
Well, no.
Never. Another athlete, Frank Kugler, he had both of his legs, but he won 4 medals in 3 different events, making him the only person to ever win 3 medals at 3 different events at the Summer Olympics.
Do you know, what the events were?
I'm glad you asked, Liv.
Oh, thanks.
I'm so glad you asked. The 3 events were freestyle wrestling, weightlifting, and tug of war.
That was a thing?
Tug of war used to be a Summer Olympic sport. Okay, so it was played at the Olympics from 1900 to 1920. And the teams consisted of 6 players on each side originally.
Yeah.
But then starting at the 1908 games, each team consisted of 8 players per team.
Oh my God.
Tug of war.
That's so real. We should bring that back.
I think we should.
I want to bring that back.
I think we should.
Yeah.
Now, in 1904, St. Louis was a busy city. Not only were they hosting the Summer Olympics, but St. Louis was also hosting the St. Louis World's Fair, which was also referred to as the Louisiana Purchase Exposition.
Oh, okay.
Do you know anything about this?
No.
So a World's Fair, for those of you who aren't familiar with them, they're basically just giant fair-like expositions designed to showcase technological advancements, social advancements, and other aspects of prosperity and growth from the nation in which the fair is being held.
Yeah, so that's where we got like the Space Needle and shit like that?
Yes,
Okay.
correct, yeah. So yeah, these honestly sound pretty cool, but I don't think they're as popular today as they once were.
Yeah.
They're also referred to as World Expos, and there's different types as well. Like the most recent expo was in Qatar in 2023, and then in 2022 there was one in Amsterdam. And from what I can tell from very, very little research, the theme of both of these expos was encouraging green initiatives throughout the world.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So anyway, back to St. Louis. These World's Fairs last for months. In the case of the 1904 St. Louis World Fair, it took place over 7 months, from the end of April to the beginning of December.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
How long do people need to see things? Like, how much is there that it takes 7 months?
Well, again, there's nothing else to do, so
Right. It all circles
might as well
back.
just keep it going.
Yep.
So St. Louis is selected for the 1904 World Fair, and the site for the expo was a massive 1,200-acre area. There was roughly 75 miles of roads and walkways between the buildings and exhibits,
Oh, wow.
or 121 kilometers, and more than 19 million people attended the fair. The fairground consisted of over 1,500 buildings, housing exhibits from over 50 different countries, as well as individual exhibits for the 43 out of the 45 U.S. states at the time.
Oh.
And these exhibits highlighted the state or country cities, industries, art and music from the countries, educational opportunities. Basically, every part of the country's society was featured at the exhibits.
Yeah.
So, in 1904, the St. Louis World Fair was celebrating the 100-year anniversary of the Louisiana Purchase.
Ooh.
But the Louisiana Purchase was in 1803, so really this is a year late after the 100-year anniversary, but whatever,
Yeah.
who am I?
Semantics.
Now, the 1904 Summer Olympics did not last for only a couple of weeks like they do today. They lasted for almost 5 months. They began on July 1st and finished at the end of November. So I think it's like 4.5 months long for the Olympics.
Yeah. Well, no wonder they had tug of war and
They had so much shit to get through. They needed
wrestling.
months at the same time.
Yeah.
So, how did St. Louis end up hosting both of these massive international events lasting months at a time, with both of them being at the same time? How did this happen?
I was going to ask, like, why St. Louis? Like,
Liv, it's the power of pettiness.
oh, and it's our favorite type.
It is. So, the story goes, the city of Chicago was originally awarded the 1904 Summer Olympics. St. Louis, on the other hand, had already been selected to host the World Fair years prior in 1899.
Oh, okay.
So 5 years before the World Fair, they knew it was going to be in St. Louis.
Yeah.
So the World Fair organizers also wanted to host the Olympics in St. Louis. Chicago was, and still is, a bigger city than St. Louis, but back in 1904, it was like a lot bigger.
Yeah.
And the World Fair organizers in St. Louis were worried that the World Fair would be upstaged by the Olympics. So they figured that the World Fair would get way more guests if the Summer Olympics were incorporated into the World Fair.
Oh, I see. Double whammy.
Yes, I think that is actually what a double whammy is.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, the Olympics committee was like, no, we're having the Olympics in Chicago. It's a bigger and more developed city. Get over it. This is happening. Yep. But then the World Fair organizers threw a hissy fit and basically threatened the Olympic Committee, saying that they were going to organize an even bigger World Fair, one that was so amazing that nobody would even bother going to Chicago to watch the fucking Olympics.
Oh, right.
And Liv, wouldn't you know it, this threat works.
What the hell?
The founder of the Olympics, Baron Pierre de Coubertin, gave into the threat and switched the Summer Olympics to St. Louis.
Damn, you're folding that easily?
So now St. Louis is hosting both the World Fair and the Summer Olympics for months at a time in 1904.
If I lived there, hey, I would be so pissed.
In St. Louis or
Yes.
Chicago?
No, St.
Because
Louis.
both.
I would be like, there's so many people running amok for like a million different things.
And I believe they did use the phrase running amok back then.
Amok, 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 amok.
That just sounds like you're running on a muddy road.
Yeah.
Well, there were 75 miles of new roads and walkways.
Exactly.
You know what?
Yeah. Good phrasing.
I paid attention to my own writing. However, having the Summer Olympics in St. Louis was a major loss for the Olympics. The plan totally backfired.
Yeah, makes sense.
St. Louis was considered a second-tier city in the early 1900s, so many of the top competitors from European countries decided not to attend. Remember, it's 1904. The Wright brothers had only taken their first flight the previous December.
Oh.
So we are decades away from commercial flights.
Yeah.
So the only way to get to the U.S. is by boat and then a train from the Atlantic coast to St. Louis.
Okay.
So it's going to take some time to get there.
Yeah, just a tad.
It's a hop, skip, and a jump away.
Just a wee bit.
So because so few countries decided to participate in the Olympics, more than half of the events only had American competitors. And less competitors means less fans, which means less profits. Even in the U.S., American citizens were pretty underwhelmed with the Summer Olympics also.
Real.
So even people living here were like, I don't think we're going.
Yeah.
Like, do you wanna?
No.
No, not really.
Yeah.
No. Also, the chair of the Olympic Committee, again, Baron Pierre de Coubertin, decided not to attend the 1904 Summer Olympics. Dude, the pettiness. I fucking love it.
You know what? And I'm with him on that one. Honestly.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. So the World Fair and the Summer Olympics are being held at the same time in St. Louis. But we'll talk more about the World Fair later.
Okay.
So let's talk about the Summer Olympic Marathon, shall we?
Let's.
It took place on August 30th, smack dab in the middle of the 1904 Summer Olympics.
Right. Hotter than shit, probably.
Oh, yeah. There were 32 runners, representing only 7 countries that ran in it.
Okay.
There was the US, France, Cuba, Greece, South Africa, Great Britain, and Canada.
Okay.
And let me tell you, Liv, this cast of runners is by far the most interesting group of people you'll hear about all week.
You know what? Hell yeah.
So first off, we have a man named Andrew Carvajal.
Oh.
Though his full name was Felix de la Caridad Carvajal y Soto. I know I butchered that and I'm so sorry, but I tried.
It was good.
He was a Cuban immigrant and former mailman in Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
He made it to the 1904 Olympic Marathon despite many odds that were stacked against him. Now, standing at only 5'1", Carvajal had trekked the length of Cuba to raise money for his journey to the U.S., and along the way, he was demonstrating his exceptional running ability.
Hell yeah.
Now, upon arriving in New Orleans, Carvajal unfortunately lost all of his money gambling.
God.
And he was forced to hitchhike and walk to St. Louis.
It's that American air. You touch down in any state in the U.S. and you're like, let's go gambling.
Your IQ just plummets 25 points.
Let's go to the slots. Bet on red.
Well, fortunately, he makes it to St. Louis on time.
Mm-hmm.
And now, on the day of the race, though, his appearance at the starting line is equally unconventional as the rest of his story is. At the starting line, Carvajal is wearing a long-sleeved white shirt, long dark pants, a beret, and street shoes rather than running attire.
Dude, the next fucking relay that I run in, I'm wearing that.
Please do.
Please
do.
I will. Hey, I'm gonna.
Well, supposedly one of the other Olympians felt bad for him, so they found a pair of scissors. They just found scissors somewhere and cut his trousers at the knee, making shorts for him.
Well, good, because it's hotter than shit. And also smart on them for not cutting the long sleeve, especially in August.
Why?
Get a sunburn.
He's Cuban. He's not going to get a sunburn.
I said that and immediately thought that after. So,
if I don't get sunburn in August, he sure as hell isn't.
Real.
Well, there were also 2 men, Len Tanyan and Jan Machian. These 2 men, whose names I also butchered, I'm sure. These 2 men were from the Tswana tribe in South Africa, and they were the first African men who ever participated in the modern Olympics.
Oh.
Now, supposedly, these 2 men showed up to the race without shoes, but in pictures, Len Tanyan is seen wearing shoes. So he definitely had shoes at least.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Again, it's 1904. The rumor mill is running wild.
Yeah.
Or running amok.
Oh, amok.
Next up, we have a man named Fred Lors. He's from the U.S. He was a bricklayer by day, and he trained for the Olympics at night after working.
Wow. Okay, Miss Party Girl.
He's a man, Liv. Come on.
Laying down brick. No, I said what I said. You're laying down brick and then you're fucking running, practicing for the marathon at night. That could be a movie.
Sounds horrific.
A film, if you will.
Now, Lors earned his spot in the Olympics after placing in a special 5-mile race, which was sponsored by the Amateur Athletic Union.
Oh.
So I guess it was way easier getting into the Olympics back in 1904 as compared to today.
Yeah.
Now, again, Fred Lors was not a professionally trained athlete. Again, he was just some guy who
liked running,
practiced at night and did a 5K, so, or a 5-miler. I don't fucking know what the difference is.
I'm going to run like 8 miles on the treadmill, and then I'm going to be like, now I can run a marathon in the Olympics.
I can't even fathom running 8 miles. Like the thought of that,
It's just not appealing.
it just doesn't compute.
Yeah.
It's like trying to imagine the fourth dimension. I can't. My mind doesn't work that way.
I remember you called me once and I was on the treadmill and I was like, hey, and you're like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm running. And you go, why? Is someone chasing you? I was like, no, not yet.
I'm so funny.
Someone was. No, I'm kidding.
It was your inner demons.
It was.
Now, as for the rest of the runners, most of them were professionally trained to some degree. Again, it's 1904.
Yeah.
But these guys were the outliers, if you will.
Real.
Now, let's talk about the design of the marathon course.
Ian, let's.
The course itself ran the length of 24.85 miles, so it was slightly shorter than the standard 26.2 mile courses we have today. But nonetheless, the course presented significant challenges compared to modern races. The course featured 7 hills, ranging from 100 to 300 feet in height, some with brutally long ascents as well. The roadways were often treacherous and unpaved, covered in inches of dust and littered with cracked stones, all of which created dangerous and difficult footing for the runners.
I know that you're going to get more into detail, but
yeah.
like this is going to sound like one of those like courses that you would like find in like a silly video game where it's like, and jump over this where there's 3 man-eating sharks and or like jump through this ring of fire and like people
It's
are going
pretty
to
much
grab
like
you.
that.
Yeah.
Also, let's talk about water access on the course, Liv.
Let's.
So today's Olympic and standard marathons provide drink stations for the runners. These drink stations are every 2 to 5 kilometers, so every 1.2 to 3.1 miles. So during any given marathon today, the runners have between 8 and 12 hydration stops along the course so they don't drop from dehydration.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Yes.
But during the 1904 Olympic marathon, there was only one designated water station on the course, and it was 12 miles, or 19 kilometers, into the race.
One?
And keep in mind that this is taking place in August in the Midwest, United States. So for anybody that isn't familiar with the Midwest, US, it's humidity and heat. End of list.
Yeah.
A blazing inferno.
It's like
That's probably not accurate, but it's really fucking hot and really fucking humid.
the humidity is the worst. It just, it sticks to your skin. Jesus.
So with the 1904 Olympic marathon, every runner will absolutely be dehydrated before they even make it to the one and only drink stop, which is 12 miles in.
Yeah. People are going to collapse.
Also, I read this in one spot and I tried to confirm it, but I couldn't find, another source. But
Yeah.
I read that it was just a well in the ground. It was just a freshwater well.
What are they, animals? They're
It's just a giant trough for horses.
yeah, that's,
Think of them oats. Get your pack mule food.
yeah. They just have a ladle. One to share. Gross.
So I'm sure you're wondering, why the hell was the course designed like this?
I was. Thank you so much for asking.
Good, thank you. Well, it was designed by a man named James Sullivan. Everyone boo this man.
Oh, boo. Isn't that James P. Sullivan from Monsters, Inc.?
I don't know.
It is.
Okay, good to know. Well, Sullivan was the chief organizer of the Olympic Games, and he deliberately minimized access to water on the course because he wanted to test the effects of dehydration on the runners.
What?
Apparently, dehydration was a common area of research in the early 1900s, so he was using the marathon as a venue to conduct research on purposeful dehydration.
Science is whatever we want it to be.
Dr. Spaceman.
Yeah, Dr. Spaceman.
Leo Spaceman. And yes, they knew that dehydration could be fatal.
Then what the fuck?
This is literally like something out of the Hunger Games.
Yeah, well, they didn't sign up for that, That's so fucking weird. That's odd.
Yeah,
Like,
James
ugh.
Sullivan fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But we'll talk more about him later.
Real.
Now, this course design, with its uneven surfaces, steep inclines, dusty conditions, resembles absolutely nothing about today's modern courses, which are relatively flat and carefully managed. One of the officials at the World Fair said that the course was, quote, the most difficult a human being was ever asked to run over.
Oh my God, yeah.
And the New York Times wrote an article about the race back in 2012, and they said that the course was, quote, more like cooking than civil engineering. Race directors designed their courses by a sense of feel, not by fastidious recipe.
What the fuck?
So they were just throwing whatever they wanted on the
Yeah.
course. Yeah, why not
They're
add
like,
to it?
Whatever. Do whatever the hell you want.
And also, I feel like it's important to talk about the origin of the Olympic marathon real quick.
Yeah.
So the Olympic marathon is based off of a Greek legend, and according to this legend, in the year 490 BCE, a Greek soldier ran from the plain of Marathon to Athens so that he could spread the news of the Greeks' victory over the Persian invaders. Okay? Well, he succeeds in sharing the news and makes it to Athens, but after he gets there, he dies from the running. So the marathon was included in the Olympic Games as a way of connecting the Olympics to their Greek heritage.
Oh.
But the runner died.
Wow.
He died. If anything, the takeaway from this story should be no more running. We should not be running this far.
Yeah. Or did they put it in as like a tribute to him since he did die?
I don't know. You died doing something. You shouldn't be doing it.
You know what? You just hate running.
Any excuse not to run.
Yeah,
That is correct.
You just hate running.
But this guy died from running.
yeah.
I'm just saying. So, from the beginning, this marathon was designed to be pure hell. Well, on the day of the race, August 30th, 1904, at 3:03 p.m., David R. Francis, president of the St. Louis World Fair, fired his pistol at the starting line, officially beginning the race.
All right. Boogity, boogity, boogie. Let's go racing, boys.
I think that was on the t-shirts, actually, yeah. Now, as predicted, the temperature was 90 degrees Fahrenheit, or 32 Celsius,
Gross.
and the humidity was over 90%.
Oh.
And from the beginning, as you can imagine, the runners are in trouble.
Well, yeah. Even probably standing there, they were like, fuck this.
I'm saying that just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Now, adding to the challenge was the number of unpredictable obstacles along the marathon course.
Mm-hmm.
The course took the runners through crosstown traffic, forcing them to dodge moving vehicles, including delivery wagons, railroad trains, and trolley cars.
Why? What?
There were even people walking their dogs along the course, which, in the very off chance that I would ever do some sort of running challenge, this is the part that would just totally screw me, because I would be stopping to pet every single dog.
I would be like, look at that big baby.
And if there's a dog park, fuck it, I'm done. I'm staying there.
Yeah.
Also, vehicles carrying coaches and physicians were driving alongside the runners as they ran. But because the roads were covered in dirt, the cars were creating clouds of dust, sending runners into fits of coughing. This is only the beginning.
That's just so fucking ridiculous.
It's so 1904.
It is.
But despite the horrible conditions, the race had officially begun, the runners were off, and Thomas Hicks from the United States was in the lead.
Oh, USA.
And so, during the marathon, though, just the number of absurd, out-of-pocket instances that take place are something that literally would only happen in a movie.
Yeah.
The best way I can describe this marathon, Liv, like you said already, is the 2001 hit movie Rat Race with an all-star cast including Whoopi Goldberg, John Lovitz, Seth Green, Kathy Najimy, Wayne Knight, Kathy Bates makes a cameo. The movie is fucking amazing.
I fucking love Rat Race.
If you've never seen it, I give you permission to stop watching and or listening to this right now. Go watch the movie. You can rent it on Amazon or Apple TV for $3.99. It's one of the best movies you'll ever watch.
Yes, it's so fucking funny. And it holds up, I think.
It does. Oh, yeah. I watched it a couple days ago.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, I haven't seen it in a bit, but from what I remember, it's just so fucking funny.
Alrighty. So I don't even know where to begin with this. Let's start with Andrew and Carvajal. So remember, Carvajal is the guy that shows up from Cuba in baggy clothes, shitting running shoes, and loses all his money gambling. But the man was a damn good runner. So his shitty running shoes didn't slow him down at all because he was actually doing pretty well at the start of the race.
Good for him.
And the fact that he's doing so well is just so unexpected because he kept stopping to chat with spectators in his very broken English.
Aww.
So he's constantly stopping, chatting it up with the spectators, probably understanding a quarter of the conversation, and he's still holding his own in this race.
How fun.
Carvajal is my spirit animal. Again, that would be me just, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, how friendly.
Well, then at one point, Carvajal sees a car parked along the course and sees that the people inside the car are eating peaches.
Oh, yum.
So Carvajal stops as well and asks the people in the car for a peach for himself. But the people in the car were a bunch of fucking narcs, apparently, because they told him no.
What?
They're like, no, you cannot have any peaches. They are for us, not for the runners.
Yeah.
Well, Carvajal is like, whatever, reaches in the car, grabs a peach anyway, and runs off with it. Inspirational.
Hell yeah. Get your bag.
And then at one point, supposedly 6 miles into the race, Carvajal apparently comes across a water tower, which he somehow broke into and stole water.
Oh my God. What are these side quests that he's doing? Who's controlling this man on Sims? Just let him run the race.
Well, then, not much further along, Carvajal finds himself running along an apple orchard.
Ooh.
So what does he do? He stops and gets some apples, gets a little snack.
Real.
But the apples are rotten, Liv, and he gets food poisoning.
Does he actually?
Yes.
No.
So he gets stomach cramps from the food poisoning and decides the best thing to do at this point is to lie down and take a nap.
I am obsessed with this man. I'm obsessed with him.
So he lays down, takes a nap, and he does not get disqualified. They're just, I guess, adding it to his time. They're like, sure, if that's how you want to spend your running time,
Yeah,
go for
why
it.
not?
Carvajal is my fucking spirit animal. I love this guy.
He goes, nah, I don't want to.
All right, well, next is Sam Meller, and he is a United States runner, and he's now in the lead since Carvajal is sleeping.
Yeah.
But it's not long before Meller is overcome by severe cramping, probably because there's no water.
Yeah.
But what do I know? So he slows to a walk, and he eventually stops, and that's it for Sam Meller. He doesn't finish the race. He's like, I'm fucking done here.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, just
Good
be
for
done.
him.
Be done. Yeah. Well, another U.S. runner, William Garcia, was also disqualified for being unable to finish the race, although his condition was a bit more serious.
Yeah.
With all of the dust covering the roads along the marathon's route, Garcia inhaled entirely too much dust, which caused him to collapse some 16 miles into the marathon.
Oh, shit.
So he only had about 8 miles to go, so he was about 2/3 of the way done.
Yeah.
But Garcia had inhaled so much dust that the lining of his esophagus and stomach had been torn up from all the dust particles, and he was bleeding internally.
Holy shit.
So as you can imagine, this was too much stress on his body, and he collapsed.
Yeah.
Now, fortunately, Garcia survives.
Oh, good.
But had he continued running any further, he could have died.
Yeah.
Next, there was John Lorden, another runner for the United States. He also gave up and was disqualified after he began vomiting profusely during the race.
Oh, yuck.
I don't think he was vomiting blood. He was just regular profuse vomiting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Standard vomit.
Standard vomiting.
Not bloody vomit.
Get the popcorn bowl. You're thrown up in there.
Well, then, Len Tonyen, one of the runners from South Africa, he's doing great.
Good. Hell yeah.
Until a wild dog chased him off course by more than a mile.
No fucking way.
So this significantly put him behind in the race. He was doing well until a dog chased him off, a wild dog.
Oh, no.
And for a mile, like, he couldn't shake the dog for a mile.
Yeah.
Like,
poor guy. The dog was really persistent.
Like, why didn't you just turn around and just pet the dog?
Because it was chasing him, Ian. Not all dogs are nice.
That's not true. Okay, Liv. All right. You got us there, Liv. You got us there.
Not all dogs are nice.
That's false. They're all great. Well, 9 miles into the race, Fred Lors, also from the U.S., was also overcome with severe running cramps.
Eesh.
So what does he do?
Takes a nap in an apple orchard.
No, he hops into one of the support cars driving alongside him and lets the support team drive him for a few miles. Because fuck it, why not?
That's cheating!
And Lors didn't give a shit because he's riding along as a passenger during the Olympic marathon. And while he's doing this, he's waving to spectators and other runners.
There are no rules.
That's from Rat Race.
You know what? Real.
Like, 1904 was so unserious.
Yeah.
So
Oh
that's
my
the
God.
standard at which the bar is set for the 1904 Olympic marathon.
Damn.
Well, at the 10-mile mark of the race, Thomas Hicks, who started the race in the lead,
Yeah.
began growing notably slower and weaker. So his two-man support crew intervened to provide Hicks with some support. Now, what exactly this support was, I don't know, but the word support should only be used sarcastically here.
Were they just patting him on the back?
No, what they were doing was actually much worse.
Oh, right.
Now, being desperate for water after running 10 miles in the dead of summer,
Yeah.
Hicks begged his support team for a drink. However, the support crew refused to give him a drink and instead chose to rinse his mouth out with warm distilled water.
Why?
Now, even though I've never run a marathon, it seems to me like stopping and asking the people driving a car next to you for help would be against the rules. But then again, the runners were only given one water stop, which was 12 miles into the marathon, and it was 90 degrees outside and 90% plus humidity.
Yeah.
So anything goes. Now, at the time, however, the official rules of the Olympic marathon actually allowed runners to be, quote, coached and assisted by race officials.
Mm-hmm.
So exactly what that assistance entails, I'm not sure, and I'm doubting there were ever any specifics on it either. Again, the rules for the entire race seem like they're just whatever anybody wants them to be when they want them to be it.
Yeah.
So we have Hicks, 10 miles in, struggling. He's still 2 miles away from the one and only water stop.
Yeah.
So he decides to stop and ask his support crew for water. They refused and instead rinsed his mouth out with warm, gross-ass distilled water.
What the fuck?
Well, Hicks somehow finds the mental and physical strength to continue running. But then after running another 7 miles, Hicks begins fading and struggling again.
Yeah, I wonder why.
I'm personally shocked he made it that far.
Yeah.
I'm shocked anybody made it any distance in this race.
Especially with the lack of fucking water is crazy to me.
Well, being only 7 miles from the finish, Hicks is again asking for water, and again, his support team refuses.
What the fuck?
But Liv, this time, his team gives him something instead of warm distilled water. They give him a mixture of egg whites, and strychnine.
Throw up.
So again, a couple thoughts on this. One, warm egg whites, vomit.
Ugh.
And two, what the hell is strychnine? Do you know what that is?
Nope.
Well, I looked it up, and as it turns out, it's a stimulant.
Oh, brother. Holy shit. They said, all right, get ready to see God.
It's drugs.
Here's some egg whites.
It's drugs. Strychnine is a drug whose effects block certain inhibitory neurotransmitters, which in short encourages your nervous system to continue forcing your muscles to contract, regardless of how much energy your muscles have available.
Oh my God.
So, in other words, strychnine forces your muscles to keep working even when there's no fuel left.
Yeah.
Now, as bad as this is for your body, it will give you a temporary boost.
Mm-hmm.
So strychnine is a white, odorless, bitter powder. You can swallow it as a pill, breathe it in, or mix it with saline and inject it intravenously.
Real.
Sounds like something else.
Yeah.
Sounds like quite a few other things, actually. Where have I heard that before?
Sounds like something that yeah.
Sounds buy in the corner, maybe? The corner store?
Oh my God.
Well, this was actually the first recorded instance of drug use in the modern Olympics. Now, again, this was 1904. So when do you think performance-enhancing drugs became illegal at the Olympics?
1950s.
1967.
Ah, so close.
So in 1967, the International Olympic Commission put together a list of banned drugs and substances from the Olympic Games, and the following year, in 1968, was the first year that they began testing the athletes for illegal drugs.
Good. It's not fair.
Okay, so let's go back to strychnine. So it basically keeps your muscles working with no energy, which seems great when you're running a marathon with no water, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, probably not, because today strychnine is classified as a strong poison.
Oh, shit. Oh, no.
Yeah, in small doses, strychnine would give the runners a boost from the stimulant effect. However, if the dosage is high enough, strychnine can and will cause muscle spasms, seizures, and the big one, respiratory failure.
Oh, no.
For those of you not in the medical field, respiratory failure is when you fail to respire, aka when you stop breathing. You need to breathe. If you stop breathing, you almost always die.
Yeah. You have to breathe to live, team.
These are the facts. You know what, Liv?
Yeah.
Educate them.
Yeah. You got to breathe. In, out, in, out.
But get this, strychnine was used as a common medicine back in the day,
Of course it was.
especially during the early 1800s.
Of course it was.
It was used to treat colds, upset stomachs, and even used by some doctors for sedation.
Medicine's not a science.
That's 2 Dr. Spaceman quotes.
That is.
So it probably won't surprise you when I tell you that today, strychnine is illegal for personal use.
Yeah.
But it is still used as a pesticide. Specifically, it's used as rat poison.
Ah, right.
So rat poison was used during the 1904
Yeah.
Olympics.
So true.
Okay, so Tom Hicks is basically dying from dehydration, but his medical support team gives him what's basically poisonous cocaine and egg whites, and he picks up speed.
Real.
So while Hicks is being drugged up, Fred Lors, the guy who hitched a ride in one of the support cars, is also starting to feel more rejuvenated. As he should,
Yeah.
because he rode in his support car for 11 fucking miles.
That's not
There are no rules.
That's not fair. What the fuck?
Just waving to everybody as he went by like
La,
he's
la,
fucking
la.
Miss America.
Yeah. He takes a nap.
He could have.
What a freak.
So around the 20-mile marker, which was less than 5 miles from the finish line, Lors gets out of the car and starts running again as if everything is normal.
He's like, I've been doing this all goddamn day.
And apparently one of Hicks' support crew members saw Lors get out of the car and start running, and he's yelling at Lors to get off the course and forfeit. But Fred Lors is like, no, I'm just going to stay in the race.
There are no rules.
Not fair.
Well, since Lors was riding in the car for almost half the marathon, it should come as no surprise that he was the first person to cross the finish line at the 1904 Summer Olympic Marathon.
Yeah.
He finished with a time of 3 hours and 13 minutes, which averages to about a 7-minute, 45-second mile, which confuses me because wouldn't it be a lot less than that if he was in the car? So I just assume he had the car stopped to make it look like he was running,
Maybe.
is my guess. Well, anyway, Lors crosses the finish line. The crowd goes wild, and the officials place the victor's crown upon his head.
Not fair.
There was a big photo op, and the gold medal was placed around his neck by Alice Roosevelt, who was the daughter of the president at the time, Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh.
But don't worry, because just as he's being given the gold medal, the officials received word that Fred Lors had indeed cheated, and the winning title was immediately rescinded.
Good. Oh, thank God.
The crowd's cheering turned into booing, and Fred Lors was disqualified right then and there.
You know what? Justice. Vindication.
Well, in response to this, Lors continued smiling and waving, Miss America, and stated that he only finished the race as a joke and that his intention was to never accept the winning title.
Sure, Jan.
Sure. Right.
So then why did we have the car presumably
Yeah.
stop so you had a legitimate time?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Sure. So now that Fred Lors is disqualified, who's the next runner that's closest to the finish line?
I have no idea.
Well, it's none other than Thomas Hicks. Now, remember, when we last left Hicks, he was only 7 miles from the finish line, and his medical support team had given him egg whites and strychnine. Well, the effects of the stimulant had begun wearing off, and after learning that Fred Lors had already taken first place, he basically loses any remaining will to keep running. So Hicks begins slowing, and his skin is becoming so pale that he looks like he's about to just keel over and die.
Oh, shit.
But wait,
There's more?
there's more. Hicks, along with his team, learned that Fred Lors has been disqualified.
Oh, shit. He's got to kick his shit into gear.
This bit of good news gives Thomas Hicks the strength he needs to continue running. That is, the good news and another dose of egg whites and strychnine.
Run, Forrest, run.
But this time, the medical support team wants to give Hicks some fluids so that he can effectively wash down the egg whites and rat poison.
Right.
So they give him some brandy along with the egg whites and rat poison.
Honestly, that goes hard. That goes so hard.
We've given you warm egg whites and what is basically a weaker nerve gas.
Yeah.
So here's booze.
Brandy, you're a fine girl. Hell yeah.
Well, Hicks's team also soaked his body from head to toe with a bucket of worm water, which was also done to improve his pace. I'm not sure if that did or not. I don't know. I mean, you're already giving him a stimulant. Fuck the worm water. I don't know.
Warm water, 90 degrees outside with 90% humidity. I would keel over.
So, with the power of alcohol, stimulants, and spite, Hicks is back and better than ever, heading for the finish line.
All right, girl.
Now, apparently, Hicks's team had the brandy with them the entire time, but they were holding off on giving it to him until they felt that it was the appropriate time.
Medicine's not a science.
There are
No rules.
Well, believe it or not, giving someone who's horribly dehydrated rat poison and booze is actually a really bad idea.
What?
Like, it's not good.
That's crazy.
It's bad. So Hicks begins hallucinating because of this.
Yeah.
Despite approaching the finish line, Hicks believed he was more than 20 miles from the end of the marathon, when in reality, he was less than 1 mile.
Yeah.
But his team encouraged him to keep running, assuring him that he was almost done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, during the last mile, Hicks again is begging for food, water, or a stop break,
Yeah.
but his team refused to let him stop and basically forced him to keep running. However, realizing that Hicks doesn't look great, his support team did give him another drink. And yes, this was a drink of brandy and 2 more egg whites.
Medicine's not a science.
Stupid.
Well, Hicks had to walk the last portion of the last mile, probably because he was actively dying.
Yeah.
And as Hicks enters the stadium, nearing the finish line, multiple sources noted how absolutely god-awful Thomas Hicks looked.
I bet. Holy shit.
His face was blank and his eyes were fixed on nothing in front of him.
Yeah.
His body was becoming so limp that his support team had to keep him from collapsing while Hicks crossed the finish line.
Oh my God. Poor guy.
But even though he had to basically be carried across the finish line, it was announced that Hicks was, in fact, the first place winner of the 1904 Olympic Marathon.
Hell yeah.
And, as such, Hicks was crowned as the rightful winner.
Real. Good for him. Good for him.
Hicks was later quoted about the course saying, quote, "Never in my life have I run such a tough course. The terrific hills simply tear a man to pieces."
Or it was the brandy in your system. Or
And the
drugs.
poison.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Right.
could have been any part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the legitimate first place winner was Thomas Hicks. And out of the 32 runners, only 14 actually finished the race.
Oh my God.
Thomas Hicks came in first place. Albert Corey from France came in second. And Arthur Newton from the US was the third place winner.
Okay.
Now, my man Anderin Carvajal, the runner from Cuba who took a nap because he ate rotten apples, comes in fucking fourth place. Takes
Good
a
for
nap
him.
and still comes in fourth place.
Good for him.
Len Tanyane, the guy who was doing well until a dog chased him a mile off course, finished ninth place.
How did the guy who took a nap? That doesn't make any sense.
Listen, I wasn't there, but I sure wish I had been. Now, both Thomas Hicks and Frederick Lors continued running in marathons after the 1904 Summer Olympics. Hicks and Lors would actually meet again at the Boston Marathon in 1905, the following year. And at that race, Lors legitimately won.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. However, Frederick Lors unfortunately died in 1914 from pneumonia, and he was only 29 years old.
Oh, that's so upsetting.
Yeah, and like he was a runner, so I assume his
Yeah.
lungs were healthy.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
It just shows you how far medicine's come.
Medicine's not a science.
It wasn't back then, at least.
No.
Well, Hicks eventually moved to Canada, and he lived a full life.
Hell yeah.
Now, what about my man Andrew Carvajal?
Yeah, I want to see what this king has been up to.
He does not disappoint, let me tell you.
Oh, thank God.
Carvajal was selected to represent Cuba in the 1906 Olympic Marathon in Athens, Greece.
Ooh.
So he was sent to Athens with all of his expenses being paid for by the Cuban government.
Oh, so he can't waste it on gambling.
Yeah.
Real.
Now, even though this was only 2 years after the 1904 Olympics, at the time, these were still official Olympic Games. But eventually, the Olympic Committee decided that these weren't official Olympic Games, and the medals that were awarded didn't count for actual Olympic prizes.
Okay.
So I think it was just like an intermediate game that they said, yeah, this actually didn't count.
Yeah.
Anyway, while Carvajal was on his way to Greece, he disappeared after arriving in Italy, and he never arrived in Athens for the race. He never showed up. So nobody knows where he went or what happened to him. So Carvajal was presumed dead. Cuba created a death certificate and published his obituary in 1906.
Has he not been found?
No, he showed up back in Cuba months later.
Oh my God. Oh.
He just fucking shows up in Cuba, hitchhiking off of some Spanish ship months later.
I'm obsessed with this man.
And then he becomes a professional runner in Cuba, running marathons all over, including in the US.
I'm obsessed with him. What the fuck?
I don't know where he was during that time.
Yeah.
But I plan on looking a lot more into Andrew Carvajal. The guy is just fucking awesome.
What an enigma he is.
This one's for him.
Iconic.
But that is the 1904 Olympic Marathon.
What a clusterfuck.
What an episode.
What a fucking episode, dude.
Now, remember James Sullivan, the chief organizer for the Olympic Games?
Yes.
Yeah, he fucking sucks.
Yes.
He was also one of the organizers of the World Fair in St. Louis. And this is where things take a bit of a left turn. So at the World Fair, there were many exhibits featuring different cultures from nations around the world, with people native to those countries at the exhibits as well. And if that sounds nice, it's not, because these exhibits were essentially human zoos.
Oh my God.
Yeah, 1904 was a different time, and
Yeah.
not in the best way sometimes. Now, even though these people were basically in captivity to some degree, they were paid professionals. Like, they even had agents representing them while they were in the exhibits.
Mm-hmm.
So they're getting paid to be there, but still, the concept of a human zoo is disgusting.
Yeah, that's... I hate that.
So James Sullivan, as one of the organizers of the fair, wants to showcase the superiority of American athletic ability. And if you can't read between the lines, James Sullivan is a white supremacist.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
What a fucking asshole.
So James Sullivan comes up with a sporting event called Anthropology Days,
Oh.
where they basically organized a bunch of Olympic Games for the people in the human zoos, who they called primitives or savages, and then had them compete against each other.
Hey, 3, 2, 1. Hunger Games.
Yeah. And because the organizers had just taught all these games to people from different countries, they weren't very good because this is something they learned 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So this made the American athletes look like they were amazingly gifted at sports, which would then prove that the Americans were far more talented than the rest of the world at all the sports always and forever. James Sullivan, get fucked.
That's disgusting. What a disgusting man. Who thinks of that?
Who thinks of it is one thing, and then who puts that into action?
Yeah,
What the
honestly.
yeah, no. I read that and I was appalled.
What a fucking asshole.
I almost didn't put this in the episode, but it was so closely tied in with it, I couldn't not.
Ew, he's a freak.
Fortunately, Anthropology Days was a major failure.
Mm-hmm.
Even though these people were being paid, many of them chose not to participate. And because of the language barriers, many of them just didn't even know what was going on. So the games didn't even begin in some cases.
Yeah. What the fuck?
So instead of James racist piece of shit Sullivan making other nations look bad, his exhibit just looked poorly planned and he made himself look like a fucking idiot.
Because he is.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Well, that's the nicest thing we can call him.
Yeah.
A little bit of dark history on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, 1904.
So
hitting
much.
all ends of the spectrum. Yeah, there's a lot
Yeah.
of feelings and thoughts on that one.
A lot happened.
Now, there is so much more to be discussed about Anthropology Days, the 1904 World Fair. I could go so far in depth into it, but yeah, insane.
Ugh.
Didn't expect that.
No, me neither.
Came
At
out of
all.
nowhere.
Yeah. Crazy.
Crazy, crazy, and more crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we are.
And here we are, Ian.
You want to play the blame game?
I do.
Let's. Alrighty, everybody, the blame game is where we rate the disaster on 3 different categories. Was it predictable? Was it preventable? And was it avoidable? Each category is rated on a scale of 0 to 5. A total score of 3 or less means this was what, Liv?
A true disaster.
baby. Oh.
I got your ass.
And anything higher than that means we get to blame some people. So without further ado, let's start off with predictability.
You're not setting up water stations.
There's no water. We planted on literally the hottest day of the year at the hottest part of the U.S.
But then again, I wonder if they like planned it beforehand. You can't control the weather.
That's correct. You cannot. But in Missouri, the middle of the U.S., in August, in
kind
summer's
of,
inferno,
you can
plan ahead on that one.
Yeah.
Isn't that the most humid part of the U.S.?
I don't know. I'm no meteorologist.
I thought you were obsessed with weather things, etc.
Yeah, not that. I'm obsessed with tornadoes.
Oh, so just a fraction of the things.
Yes.
Not all the things.
No.
All right. But yeah, I would say 4.
4.
Yeah.
Leeway, because you can't control a wild dog.
You can't control all the random things that happened, but
Yeah.
you could control the race and you could set up barriers, which they
Yeah.
didn't do. So 4.
Yeah, 4.
Okay. Preventability, though. I'm going firm 5 on
Yeah,
that one.
I agree.
Set up barriers, offer more water.
Yeah.
Don't have it on literally the hottest day of the year.
Yeah, maybe block off shit so they're not like running through traffic and then a random apple orchard.
What is the hottest day of the year? I'm going to look this up right now. What do you think it is?
Maybe like August 27th. I'll go with that.
I'm going to go August 17th.
Ooh, okay.
We were both wrong.
Oh,
It's typically July 22nd,
right.
which I guess makes sense, but I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel like August is typically hotter.
I don't know.
Well, I guess maybe you start to cool down a little bit, but
yeah, maybe July's like peak.
yeah. July 15th through the 31st is typically the hottest stretch of the United States summer.
Okay.
All right, now how about avoidability?
3?
So if you're a runner in this race, you can't avoid the heat. You really can't avoid dehydration. You can't avoid
The dog.
the obstacles.
Yeah. Or
I'm
the
gonna go
apple.
low on this one, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, you could avoid it by just not fucking doing it. You could avoid it by honestly stopping at any point.
Yeah.
You have the ability
Like
to say,
some
I'm
people
stopping.
did. Yeah. So 2? 2 or 3?
Let's say 3, because you could just fucking stop if you wanted to.
Yeah.
It's not like you were trapped and had no way out unless you finished.
Yeah.
3.
All right.
So 4, 5, 3. What's that get us? 12.
Okay.
So you know what that means.
Yes.
We get to...
Point that finger.
So who you want to blame first, Liv?
James Sullivan. Thank you very much.
Racist piece of shit, yes. James
What an
Sullivan.
asshole.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck him.
Blaming him. I guess maybe the Olympic Committee as well, just for allowing it to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they could have stepped in and said, no, let's not make it this difficult.
Yeah, but
Okay.
mostly.
Mostly James
Most,
Sullivan.
but all-
I think it's
yeah.
just James Sullivan,
Yeah,
I want to say.
I agree.
Cool.
Nice.
All right. Liv, I'm dying to know what you learned in this episode.
Ian, and I learned a lot.
Oh, boy, me too.
All right. All right.
Okay.
All right.
All right, let's go. All right, Liv, what did you learn?
Ian. Did you like that dramatic pause?
I did. I loved it
Thank
so
you.
much. It made me feel like we're on the news.
Yeah. Breaking news. In the 1904 Olympic story of Disaster Hour, the first thing I learned was that performance-enhancing drugs were only just, outlawed in the 60s.
Yeah.
I thought it was like, I don't know. I thought it was way before, but then it makes sense that it was like around that time. I don't know. I just think that's interesting.
I mean, it's like, when did science become a thing for them?
Yeah.
Science is whatever we want it to be.
It sure fucking was in 1904.
And the second thing I learned was the World's Fair and the Olympics took place at the same time and place. I think that's fucking crazy. How did that happen? We know because I listened to the
I was just
episode.
going to say, we know how it happened.
But it's like, I don't,
talked about
why was that allowed?
Now, I can understand how. I mean, yeah, I guess put them all in one place, combine resources.
That's
But it
just-
doesn't sound like anyone worked together.
No, and it's so many people. That's like too many people in one place.
Yeah.
Especially a lot of people like traveling from literally across the world just to like stay in this one city for
Yeah.
these two events. That's way too many people.
Maybe do like a Cleveland-Pittsburgh situation, like 90 minutes between. Perfect.
Yeah. And the third thing I learned is that someone almost won the race by just being in a car and then getting out a mile out before and being like, ooh, whew, that was a really long race that I just did because I ran that.
You know that guy was totally trying to win
Oh, for sure.
because he had, a 7-minute, 45-mile average, so you know he made that car stop.
Yeah.
All right, things I learned. Number 1, 1904 was one of the least serious years in U.S. history.
Real. Yep.
No one gave a shit about anything.
No.
Number 2, People everywhere in 1904 were really unimpressed by St. Louis for some reason.
I mean, I think people still are.
Really?
Have you been there?
It's got the arch.
That's it.
I don't know. I heard it's really nice. Wow, you heard it here first. Liv hates St. Louis. Sorry, everybody in St. Louis. She hates you, though.
I don't hate it. It was just kind of
Apologize
like...
to St. Louis people for me, please.
I'm sorry that you live there.
Wow. They have to have nice weather for most of the year.
I don't know. I went there in April. So
And what was the weather?
cold.
Define cold.
Light jacket. Actually, no, it was kind of warm.
That sounds pretty great.
Yeah. I mean, it was good. We went to this really good restaurant.
So was it good or not, Liv? Yeah, okay, we can't trust her. Anyway, moving on. The third thing I learned. The guy from the Greek legend who ran the first marathon fucking died from running.
That is so true.
Why is it a thing then? I just don't get it. Guys, you should not be running marathons.
It's in memoriam.
So he died, so everyone else has to potentially die.
Not potentially. When it's
People in this race potentially died.
Yeah, because it was set up poorly. When it's set
And
up
they were
right.
poisoned deliberately.
Yeah. When it's set up right, it could be fun.
Well, isn't running a marathon, like a half marathon is okay for your body, but like isn't like putting your body through the stress of a full marathon like not healthy for you?
I don't know. I'm never going to fucking do it.
I thought you've done it.
No, I've ran in the relay in the marathon.
It's the same thing. All right, same thing.
No, it's not. I'm running 6 miles. I'm not running 26.1 miles.
It's 26.2.
I don't care. Exactly.
In my mind, running 6 miles and running 26.2 miles, it's the same thing. It adds up the same.
Right.
2 plus 2 equals fish. It's the same.
Sponge plus starfish equals clam.
Science is whatever we want it to be.
Oh, silly.
And that's all I got.
That's all I have too.
Want to run through the things one more time?
Yeah. Guys, if you have any suggestions for any episodes, email us at disasterhourpodcast@gmail.com. If you're like, I want to see more of these little freaks everywhere, follow us on Instagram, Threads, and Facebook at Disaster Hour Podcast, and then on X at Disaster Hour Pod. Take it away, Ian.
Go to the Discord. You can find us at Disaster Hour Podcast. The link for the Discord server can be found in our Instagram bio. If you don't want to go there, you can send us an email at disasterhourpodcast@gmail.com, and I will send you a link to the server.
Woo!
Go to the Patreon. You can find bonus content there, bloopers videos, other videos, fun stuff,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
Merch is coming up soon. T-shirts, coffee mugs, hopefully koozies.
Oh, koozies would be great.
Summertime, we need a good koozie. And head over to the website at www.disasterhourpodcast.com. Leave us a like, leave us a review, like and rate 5 stars, or 1 star, whatever you're feeling. We just want your honest opinion.
Yeah.
Tell us what you're thinking. Liv, back to you.
New episodes on Thursdays.
I don't know why we're yelling, but I fucking love it.
Asterisk.
The hottest day of the
Wait.
year is July 22nd in America.
That's-
Amen. Did we both take strychnine? What's going on?
We did.
Okay, I didn't know.
I took it with egg whites too.
Oh, I did. I forgot my egg whites.
Oh, okay. Did you take a shot of brandy?
Well, yeah, I've taken like 9.
No, real. The fact that you aren't slurring your words right now after 9 shots of brandy.
I'm gonna stand up and pass out.
Hell yeah.
I
It's
would
like
be dead if I had 9 shots of
immediate.
brandy.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough. That's all I got.
That's all I have too.
Be safe and good luck out there, guys.
Yeah. Use your turn signal.
No littering.
Be nice to someone this week.
And don't listen to Liv. All dogs are great. They're all nice. They're all wonderful.
No, some dogs are mean.
Name one mean dog.
The one that chased after some man who was running in a marathon.
That was in 1904.
Still.
He was probably high on strychnine. It's not the dog's fault.
Whatever.
That's all I got.
That's all I have. All right, team.
Cool. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. What a clusterfuck.